Hello, everyone. We're back with John DiLeo, who, if you may have noticed, took a small hiatus from the No Small Parts, and he was very busy during that time. And he's out with a new book called
Not even nominated. 40 overlooked co-stars of Oscar-winning performances. It's not just people who were not nominated for an Oscar. And as you can say, you'll say, "Oh wait, Sidney Poitier won an Oscar. That's not right. Denzel Washington has two. That can't be right." And some of these people were nominated for Oscars. Of course, Glenn Close famously losing over and over again. So it's very specific. You had to not be nominated for a movie in which someone else won the Oscar, and there you were in the same movie, sometimes just as good, sometimes even better, and yet somehow you didn't get in the race.
Why Were the People Overlooked? Was there one reason or was it a lot of reasons?
It's a lot of reasons. I'd say probably the most significant reason, as I was writing the book, which starts with the first Oscars in 1927-28 and goes to 2015, is that the person who wins the Oscar usually has a showier part. So there's some more, I don't say obvious acting. There's maybe an accent or makeup and something, or big drunk scenes or nervous breakdowns. Things where you really get to say, "Wow, look what he or she did. He really went through the mill for this part."
Yeah.
And sometimes the person in the same movie doing something equally impressive, just much more subtle, it's easier to be taken for granted, overlooked. People who make their acting look so effortless, people aren't conscious of their, actually creating the role and bringing all these facets to it. It just looks like they showed up and were being, like I said, behaving naturally.
So many times the people in your book are the people who made the person who got the award look good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's sort of that shared thing of they're feeding off each other, and sometimes they're equally good and totally dependent on each other. But the person, like I said, with more of the flamboyant role in whatever way, is the one who often gets noticed for awards.
Did anyone notice this at the time? Like, was there an outcry, or this is just looking back?
I think so. There are people, I'm sure people were aware of always, sometimes they would refer to the award as most acting rather than best acting, maybe in private circles. So I think that's always been an occupational hazard of people who make it look easy, often don't get the praise and attention for having a much more understated approach to the craft.
And was this book harder or easier than the No Small Parts? I noticed there's fewer people in it, but it looks maybe even thicker.
Well, yeah, the There Are No Small Parts had 100 short chapters on under 10-minute performances. This one has 40 chapters on primarily lead performances, a couple of supporting performances too, but all, considerably longer than the ones in the previous book. So fewer chapters, longer chapters. So maybe three times as long, but like I said, fewer of them. So I guess it was equally, challenging in its own
Mm-hmm.
way. But it was sort of the same kind of working. My progress would be, movie by movie, writing them out of order and then placing them chronologically and seeing where, how the book was shaping itself, and so the process was actually similar, but yeah, um, uh, different time frame because of the longer to write each chapter because there was more of
Right.
it, but maybe a shorter time to write the whole book because there were fewer pieces. I don't know. I think it actually ended up being about the same. It was
Mm-hmm.
about a year for both of them that it took.
And can you still have fun watching movies, or are we so busy thinking like what I can do for my next book, or with who got robbed and that kind of
I
thing?
know it's a valid question. Can you have fun watching movies? Yes, the answer is
Do
yes.
you watch it once just for fun and then go back and look, or
I,
right
I
away you can't help yourself?
no, I mean I'll certainly, even if it's movies I've seen 100 times, I'll watch it once all the way through
Mm-hmm.
just to start the process. But you're right. I always have my critical hat on, so I prefer to watch things, by myself if I'm home. Not like let's have a party and watch a movie. That's not my style
Hmm.
because I want it to be quiet and I really want to pay attention and I don't want to miss any dialogue. So yes, it is. It yes, it's still fun, but yes, it's work. And I don't mean that in the sound to make it sound like drudgery work, but it's work. That's my work. That's what I do.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not as maybe as carefree an
Yeah.
experience.
Well, it's fun for us anyway. So even if it's work for you,
Yeah, so you can have more fun. I do the work.
is this book is out already now? Or was I
Yes.
one just the lucky ones to get an advance copy?
Yes, it is
So
now officially
Amazon, all
out.
the usual
It's
outlets.
all out there now.
And you want to give us one teaser of maybe the worst overlooking of the whole book that you thought was the most outrageous, and then we'll do maybe a full
Yeah, I
episode
guess.
on
Well,
that.
I think one of the inspiration for the book, or maybe say one performance that really got me thinking, this was ridiculous, and I wonder if there's a book in this, if there's enough examples that are as irritating to me that this happened, and that's the very famous movie Elmer Gantry from 1960 with
Mm.
Burt Lancaster, who won the Oscar as Best Actor, and he's fabulous. But right next to him is Gene Simmons as the evangelist, and I refer to her, I believe, as the beating heart of this movie. I mean, she's absolutely fabulous and has a much more complicated, complex role to play than he does, and she fulfills it beautifully.
So the book is not even nominated by John DiLeo.
Yes.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Nick.